German politician Adolf Hitler was the leader of a very powerful party known as the Nazis. His armies conquered vast areas of Western and Eastern Europe, leaving behind Nazi ideas of race and space and boundless empire. The Nazis would use a swift military attack known as the Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War, which is using planes, tanks, and trucks to overthrow countries. By July 1940, Hitler ruled almost all of Western continental Europe. Italy was an ally. Bulgaria, Hungary, and Romania joined the Axis powers. The Soviet Union, Spain, and Sweden were friendly neutrals, and only Britain remained unconquered. Germany's desire to invade Britain called for control of the air. They spent thousands of planes to attack British airfield and key factories, starting the Battle of Britain. In September 1940, Hitler angrily bombed British cities to break their morale. Even though they were being bombed, Britain aircraft factories increased in production. By October, Britain was defeating Germany 3-1 in air war, and the Battle of Britain was over. The Nazi war machine then turned south to Greece. In the Balkans, Hitler and his allies ruled over a vast empire that stretched from the boundaries of Moscow to the English Channel. Hitler created a program known as the New Order based on racial imperialism, which gave an advantage to the Nordic peoples. The French occupied a middle position. The Slavs and Jews were treated brutally as subhumans. The Nazis created puppet governments with collaborators willing to rule states that grants Germany's needs. They used a variety of techniques to enrich Germans and support war effort. Nazi administrators would steal goods and money from the local Jews when Nazi victory increased. It placed national Jewish populations under German control and so seized the planning and implementation of mass murder. The growth of Nazi racism led to a great outburst of racially inspired mass murder known as the Holocaust. Nazis used social, legal, and economic means to torment Jews and undesirable groups. Jews from German-occupied territories were forced to move into centralized urban areas known as the ghettos. Military death squads known as special action units moved from town to town shooting Jews and other target populations. Hitler and the Nazi leadership ordered the SS to carry out the mass murder of all Jews in Europe. They then established concentration camps, industrial complexes, and railroad transport lines to imprison and murder the so-called undesirables. Camps such as the Auschwitz-Birkenau were Nazi killing centers, where over 1 million Jews were murdered in gas chambers. By 1945, the Nazis had killed about 6 million European Jews. Historians continue to debate who was responsible for this terrible crime known as the Holocaust. The racist war of annihilation in Europe was matched by racially inspired warfare in East Asia. A fascist government had taken control of Japan in the 1930s. The Japanese system was highly nationalistic and militaristic and was deeply committed to imperial expansion. Japanese theorists believed the Asian races were far superior to Western Aryans. In 1931, Japanese armies invaded and occupied Manchuria. Japan's goal was to establish the Great East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. While the Nazis and the Japanese built their savage empires, Great Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union joined together in a military pact Winston S. Churchill termed the Grand Alliance. Japan's surprise attack had brought the United States into the Second World War. The Grand Alliance agreed on a policy of Europe's first to seize tensions. The alliance could unleash an all-out attack on Japan only after Hitler was defeated. They also agreed to concentrate on immediate military needs. The Allies adopted the principle on unconditional surrender of Germany and Japan. The Syrian of 1943 brought crucial Allied victories at sea and in the air. The German war industry put to work millions of prisoners of war and slave laborers from across occupied Germany. German war production tripled despite the heavy Anglo-American bombing. German resistance against Hitler failed to halt the fighting. Germans fought on with suicidal resolve. On June 6, 1944, American and British forces under General Dwight Eisenhower laid on the beaches of Normandy, France, in history's greatest naval invasion. Only the reluctant Grand Alliance of the liberal United States and Great Britain with the communist Soviet Union was able to defeat the Axis powers.